Alistair Murray is the first one on today, Julia.
Well, I have John Emmett is the first one. We have to have it.
He's a Marianne. There's a new name, Marianne Stanke. Stanke? Marianne, welcome. John Emmett, yes. Blake Middleton from the shores of Lake Minnetonka up in Minnesota. Beautiful Minnesota. Greg Phillips saying hi from the Gold Coast of Australia. Excuse me, Julia, I think I need some coffee.
Yeah. Should I get up?
Alistair's up early in Melbourne for sure. Ted Ryman checking in from Cape Town. Pedro, foiling sailor. Hi, y'all.
Hi, y'all.
He's been a bit under the weather with COVID and various other maladies. I hope he's feeling better. Likewise, Alistair. And all the rest of you. Mary Jude Szymanski. Hello. Mary Jude, who's normally in Philadelphia. Count down the last 15 seconds. Jeff Ogle's in Annapolis. As we get ready for show 537. Welcome.
4, 3, 2, 1.
And once again, we're live from Studio B here at the Beach Street Yacht Club. My co-host, Julia Vedekind, Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club, stalwart, longtime member of St. Francis Yacht Club, and I'm your host, Tom Eamon. This is show 537 for Friday, TGIF,
Yay.
for Friday the 15th of July, 2022. We're halfway through the year, and then some.
I know, it's impossible.
And the days are getting shorter, Julia.
That's always disturbing because it gets dark earlier.
Ed Worley, cheers. We mentioned Jeff Ogle in Annapolis, the other spiritual heart of sailing, besides arguably Newport, Rhode Island and San Francisco. Stingrays up in sunny Seattle. Christopher Gillingham in Leamington in the UK. Julie Aarons in Cleveland, Ohio. Nice and sunny, but not too hot.
Oh, good.
Jonathan Frank down in Texas where it is hot. They're running out of power down there, aren't you, Jonathan? Peter Taylor in New York City. Hope you're well, Peter. And Sandy and Gordon Smith, good evening from Denmark. Don Lunabos across the bridge in Sonoma. And do we say hi to everybody? As we're about 3 minutes already into the show, let's get this one on the road, shall we, Julia? For the pre-start Castle Cove Sailing Club, we always like to look at their race committee boat. This photo supplied by John Emmett. As Carlos Aviz checks in from Brasilia, South America, the first South American on today, as far as we know. Welcome to you, Carlos. And let's say hi again to Clark Chapin, our Fozy, and his wife, Karen. I talked to Clark by phone this morning, Julia.
Oh, good.
At some length, and he's cautiously optimistic now that things are really on the road to mend. It's going to be a long haul, months,
Yeah.
if not years, but Karen is off the ventilator.
Oh,
They're
good.
weaning her from fentanyl,
Ah.
and she's still under the influence of pain meds and so on, but Clark was really quite optimistic as of this morning, more so than he was a nice kind of lift in his voice. And
Yeah. Oh, that's good to hear.
he asked me to say specifically to all of you, to the Fozy, thank you very much for the kind notes on his Facebook page, for the thoughts, the prayers. They are all very helpful indeed. He may even record a little segment for us for next week.
Oh, good.
By way of an update. Do you know what day yesterday was, Julia?
Flag Day.
No.
It was.
Flag Day.
No, I know it. That was June.
That's June something. Yesterday,
Yes.
belated best wishes for our French friends and fans of France.
Bastille Day, of course.
It was Bastille Day, and of course, you probably all know what it is, but here's a little almost grade school reminder.
Uh-huh.
If you find yourself in France on the 14th of July, no matter where you are in the country, you'll be privy to celebrations. You might also find it difficult to get anything done because it's a bank holiday and everything is closed. Well, nearly everything. A huge military parade is held in the morning on the Champs-Élysées, and when night falls, firework displays light up the skies everywhere, from big cities to smaller towns. So, why all the fuss? Well, the French national holiday marks the anniversary of when the Bastille prison was stormed in 1789. That's why it's called Bastille Day in English. The Bastille was a medieval fortress serving as a political prison in the centre of Paris. The aristocracy wasn't too popular in France at the time, and revolutionary fervour was simmering thanks to a weak monarchy, consistently high taxes, and rising food prices. On July 14th, a crowd of 300 surrounded the prison, demanding the release of prisoners, as well as its impressive arms stash. A bloody battle ensued, with revolutionaries eventually capturing the building, pulling down its walls, and freeing inmates. When told of the drama, a bemused King Louis XVI asked one of his advisors, "Is this a revolt?" To which he replied, "No, sire, this is a revolution." He was executed by means of guillotine 4 years later. The act showed common people no longer accepted the absolute power of the monarchy. It also signalled the start of the French Revolution and forced the creation of the modern French Republic. So this 14th of July, if you see fireworks in France, you'll know exactly what they're for.
And it had ripple effect in a lot of countries around the world, including
here
in the U.S. What was that,
89.
Started in 1789, so that's, not quite 100 years before the America's Cup, but still a ways back. Thank you for that. It's always nice when you get a British lady telling you about the French national holiday. Belated happy Bastille Day for all of you who are French or French fans or in France.
It's fun to be in France on Bastille Day.
It is indeed. I've been once, and it was by accident. I wasn't there for celebrating. I was there at some kind of a bloody meeting.
Yeah, me too.
Formula One, in fact. Okay, now, do you know what today is? There's your clue. It's on the screen.
Yes.
It is Sister Cities Day. And there's an organization that was started here in the U.S. by President Eisenhower back in kind of a, let's get people together across the borders and countries and cities, and maybe we can bring peace to the world after World War II. This is back in the 50s. Out of that has grown this Sister Cities International, Connect Globally, Thrive Locally. And today is International Sister Cities Day. And as I said, the U.S. Sister City program began in '56 when President Eisenhower proposed a people-to-people citizen diplomacy initiative, originally a program of the National League of Cities, which still exists in this country. Sister Cities International became a separate nonprofit corp in '67 due to the growth and popularity of the U.S. program. Now, Julia.
Yes?
For some St. Francis Yacht Club chocolate after the show, can you name the sister cities, or at least the important? There's a bunch of them. I had no idea San Francisco had so many sister cities. Can you name a few of the more important sister cities of San Francisco, where in fact many of our FOSI reside or will be hanging out because of one event or another soon to come that way? Here's your first clue.
Mm-hmm. That looks
Sagrada Familia.
From Barcelona.
Barcelona, the ostensible home of AC 37. So that's one of our sister cities. Look at that. Where's that?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, Gordon Smith and Stingray got it. Barcelona. Boy, the latency is very low here. Anybody name that city? That's also a sister city of San Francisco. I had no idea till I prepared the show last night. That, in fact, if you look right here, that is a yacht club. Hi, Joyce Shearell. I've missed you all now at airport heading to Kaneohe for Pack Cup finish. Okay, but can you name that yacht club, Joyce, or anyone else? It's the oldest yacht club in the world, reputedly.
In Cork, Ireland?
Yes, that is Cork, and that is a sister city to San Francisco as well.
Oh.
How would you know?
Irish coffee.
Well, that's true, perhaps. Cork, the 300th, where it all began. Well, the Royal Cork would have been celebrating their 300th in 2020, but of course, as you know, COVID prevented that, and they are, as we speak, celebrating it 2 years later. But our FOSI, among other FOSI, but FOSI Andrew McIrvin is up there. They had one or two races from the south of England and southwest of England up there. Mm. That's also a sister city of San Francisco. There's another sister city, famous yachting town. So far, all famous yachting towns. Mm-hmm. You recognize that? In the home country of your late great husband, Conrad. Just north of Hamburg, where we all used to hang out when I lived in Hamburg. at the Kieler Yacht Club.
Yes.
That is Kiel, Germany, home of the largest annual yacht racing week.
And it
Ted
is.
got it. Ted Ryman had that first. Not Berlin, no. It's Kiel on the Kiel Canal up in northern Germany. Now, everyone will recognize that as Paris. That is also a sister city, home of the 2024 Olympics.
Also sailing.
Well, the sailing's going to be down in Marseille, on the sea in Marseille. But it's astonishing that all of these are sister cities of our beloved San Francisco, less beloved now. Yeah, Stingray, it's Kiel, but it's not spelled that way, as you I'm sure know. And there's a bunch of others, but here is the other sister city I could not
I was going to
fail
say.
to mention. Did you know that?
Yeah.
That Sydney was a sister city? And what did we say notable besides the 2000 Olympics? Well, of course, Sydney is the home of Pedro Foiling Sailor.
Yay!
How could you celebrate anything else about Sydney?
That's right.
And of course, Jody, a couple hours north than any number of our other Fozy friends and sailing friends. And what a great place to sail, home of
my good friend Ken Hudson.
Yeah, and the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia and
Yes.
the Royal Sydney Yacht Squadron, and the starting point for one of the world's great yacht races, the Sydney Hobart.
Right.
On Boxing Day, the day after Christmas. Sydney, home of Peter Stevenson. Tampa's a sister city of Le Havre since 1992. Melbourne's sister cities, Alistair says, are Osaka, Tianjin, how do you say that? Thessaloniki in Greece. Thessaloniki, I think it is in Greece. Boston, St. Pete's, currently suspended, no doubt, and Milano. So that's a great list, Ted. Who's Fog Machine? Did we decide it was David James? I'm not sure. It's a great list. SF has 19 sister cities. Holy boondoggle, Batman. Julia, you look lovely. Looks like America One scarf.
Yes, a vintage one.
And
20 years old.
Joyce
plus.
Shearerella would recognize that. She, being an esteemed member of St. Francis Yacht Club, long time, was a supporter of that.
Absolutely.
Of that 2000 America's Cup campaign, with which we were all involved.
Yes.
And Julia?
She's the mom to all the sailors.
But you were worried about your dress being wrinkly because
yes.
it's so fine, it's linen, but it's summer here for another day or two.
I know, but I hate linen because it gets so wrinkly. You would never know that this dress was ironed this morning.
Enough about us. And no, if any of you not wearing green did not get the memo. I had no idea Julia was going to wear green today. No. And I put this green shirt on I'm not sure I've ever worn this shirt on the show before. Now, this is not an Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote. But I love the music, and I love his picture.
Yes.
And we're now going to talk about Australia, so I couldn't.
Oh, that's right.
I just couldn't help myself to put him in here. Now, here, talking about sister cities, I had to go with this.
Okay.
You know where Dull is? The city of Dull?
I just learned.
Where?
Paired with...
No, that's where it's paired, but that's not where it is.
Oh.
It's in Perth, but Perth in Scotland, I believe.
Ah.
It's paired with Boring, Oregon, and apropos of the Alistair's awesome anecdote, which I did, I did just to have fun. It's also paired with Bland, which is a shire, a county in New South Wales in Australia. Who would have known? That's where Bland is.
Mm-hmm.
Bland, Boring, and Dull, sister cities, twinners, as they call it in Europe. That's where it is, Blandshire in New South Wales, of course. And it's more or less equidistant, at least by road, from Sydney and Melbourne, about 500 kilometers to each in the Shire of Bland. Now, you would think the place is pretty bland with a name like that, right?
Yes, when?
Well, it's not. It's really quite a beautiful spot. And this morning, or maybe last night even, I texted both Peter Stevenson and Alistair Murray, and I said, have you ever been to Bland? And they, of course, both knew where it was. And they said, why do you ask? I said, well, tune in to today's show, and you'll find out. So this is what's in Bland. Now, do you know what that is? What kind of flower? What crop that is?
Ah.
Stingray asking what cities are paired with Phuket. That's canola. They have fields of canola in Bland. They have cattle, what we would call cattle drives. You know what they call it in Australia? I didn't know this either. They call it cattle droving.
Well,
because
they're drovers.
Well, don't ask me, but any of you Aussies tell me if that's wrong. That's what I saw on the internet. Cattle droving in Bland. Rapeseed, yeah, Gordon Smith, rapeseed canola.
Yeah.
And then, of course, as anybody who would live in Bland would know, there's a country music muster of considerable fame in Bland. Ted Ryman says they have canola fields in South Africa as well. There's also mining in Bland, and particularly, you know what kind of a mine that is, besides an open one? That is an old mine, gold mining. And farmers are called squatters. Well, speaking of farmers, there are sheep farmers, sheep shearing, and sheep farms, huge sheep farms there. What Bland town? It's Bland in New South Wales. It's Bland Shire. It's actually a county. Sheep shearing in Bland. And this guy, who's, I don't know, he's 75 or so, he's just stepping down as the GM. His name's Ray Smith, as the GM of the Bland Shire Council. And he's got these billboards, and he said, yeah, we're Bland, but we're far from dull and boring.
And they are.
And they are indeed. But he's made it a big tourist attraction. Tell me if I'm wrong, you Aussie mates. And has now been hired as a consultant to other places to try to get their towns and their counties, their shires popular as well. That is Pedro Foiling Sailor saying there's an outdoor nursing home. My mother asking if I hadn't seen the movie Australia. I don't know. Original Bland was in West Yorkshire in the UK. Some Facebook. I don't know who Facebook user is either today. Okay, but Peter Stevenson, I talked to him, a.k.a. Pedro Foiling Sailor, and he said, yes, I have driven around and through Blandshire, north of Wagga Wagga, west of Griffith. Not much happens there except the inference the Italians grow marijuana. Facebook users J. Frederick Bland. And that is Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote. That's one I just made up because I love the anecdotes and I love that country. So, Alistair, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Okay, that gets us out of Sister Cities and Twitters. Well, it's Friday and we're relaxed. Gordon Smith, I tried sheep shearing in Tamworth, New South Wales with the president of the Sydney Agricultural Show. It is indeed a big deal. J. Frederick Bland saying, Italians grow oregano. Blandau, Germany. Is there a Blandau, Germany? There must be. Okay, we're to the, enough of all that. We are to the starting line. And as usual, we like to get to our segment right away with our master mentor, John Emmett, and his submission for today.
Hi, Tom, Julia and all the Fozy. Just another little attempt to walk and talk. Don't know if it's getting any easier your end or if it's getting any easier my end, not sure. Today's main difficulty, possibility of some wet feet, but we'll see how it goes. Either that or I might fall in somebody's moat where they built a sandcastle in the ditch. Or I might just get tapped by a giant seagull rather than a cyclist, but you never know.
I'd pay good money to see
Just for those who are worried about any dogs, the dogs are at the other end of the beach, so you're unlikely to see anybody leaving a package, as it were. That's I believe, the course of much humour earlier. So I'm going to get it right this week. The Youth Worlds has just finished, and all these major competitions are a really good indicator of the stars of tomorrow. The reason I said the Youth Worlds especially is because it's one sailor per nation, and that makes a big difference. And you only have a very short time as a youth. You need to make the most of it. And I think, you know, for young sailors, it really is just about doing as much sailing as you possibly can. And at that point, you know, it's really rewarding because you're going straight up that vertical learning curve. And it's always about getting as much experience as you can in a young person's body, because, well, as I seem to be discovering, old bodies don't work as well as young bodies. Still seem to be suffering from an injury from a month ago. So I think next time I put together a program, I'm definitely going to look at having a little bit of rest in there, because I don't seem to have allowed myself time to heal. But there we go. It's peak summer now, and every day is a busy day. And although we've passed the longest day, there's still plenty of daylight, and the evening racing is in full swing. Media-wise, there seems to be a huge amount going on. Every time I go down to, sorry, just mind me while I walk past the deck chair. That would be interesting. There seems to be some big media going on at the Academy, and I'm really sad to hear that Pete, that's Peter Allam, the CEO of the Academy, is going to move on at the end of the year, and he's just been brilliant. So I hope they get another equally good person to come in. I guess we're approximately halfway through the Olympic cycle, so it makes sense for people to move on. Safely made it past the deck chairs. Very scared of deck chairs, to be honest. I had a pretty nasty injury. This is just John's injuries, isn't it? When I was in Kiel, so I was absolutely full of jet lag. So I was doing all the right things and getting up and filling my eyes full of sun and my tummy full of coffee. And I sat on one of the lovely deck chairs at Kiel with my coffee, and somehow as I sat down, I put my fingers inside the, yeah, I just got a wet foot. I think somebody made a hole. I stepped in it. I put my fingers inside the deck chair as I sat down.
Oh, ouch.
So I put, you know, a full 70 kilos worth of weight on said fingers, and being particularly stupid, I was still holding my very hot cup of coffee, and I gently put it down because I didn't want to spill it before finally extracting my fingers from the chair. You probably can't see, but I've still got a black nail about a month later, but it was the other finger I was probably the most worried about because I had a dent which went all the way down to the bone, as it were. So it looked like my finger was squashed in half, and when I went off to the medical tent, they said probably should go to hospital. I said, well, I can't do that. We're under postponement. We're probably going to be racing today. So yeah, deck chairs are very scary things. So on that note, stay safe, carry on sailing. And for those people who have the opportunity to do some regattas, really make the most of it. All the best. Bye for now.
He got decked by a chair, somebody said. Never blend with John.
Yeah.
I wonder if that beach is good for catching crabs. Oh, my goodness, hilarious show. Yeah, Ed Worley, he got decked by a chair. When he put his finger up, and I was watching that video in the... you know, when he sends it to me in the morning, and I just quickly stick it into the show, and I usually watch it or scan through it, scrabble through it. And I saw his finger up, and I said, well, I will not say it. It looks like somebody punched him in the nose or kicked him in the butt. That's what we used to say when you had a, finger when you were, junior high school and you were a juvenile.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we used to say that. It was dirty. It's not dirty. It just was juvenile. John, it looks like you got a tribble. Somebody else said. Who said he's got a tribble? He is getting better. He's more and more relaxed. A television star now. That's John Emmett sailing. Get to the front of the fleet. We appreciate his submissions too. I don't think he's missed one yet, Julie. Since
it's terrific.
Start up, so it really is. There should have been a towel on a German deck chair. Vino Tinto Paratolis. Lars Becking is on here. Lars is by now he is old. He's a longtime friend from Germany, Formula One, sailing. has a home. Was a neighbor of ours in Valencia during the America's Cup days. And I see you on here, Lars. Pedro Foiling Sailor replying to Bill Wingrove, you don't want a fast sheep, but Aussie sheep are a little faster than the slow Kiwi sheep. Heal up, John. I did the same thing with the deck chair 3 weeks ago. Lunabos is saying, painful black ring finger joined the club.
Oh, awful.
Okay, let's get to the news. Some disturbing news came in overnight, but really no surprise. We've been telling you, or hinting at least at this for weeks, that the SailGP Japanese team is done, at least for this season. After much deliberation and taking into account logistical and commercial considerations, meaning where's the money? Show me the money. SailGP has made the difficult decision to pause the participation. That's a polite way of putting it. Not to pile on more.
Well, I'm sure they mean it.
Not to pile on more alliteration.
Yeah.
A polite way to pause the participation.
Right, because they'll be invited back.
Well, they've got to come up with a scratch, or they're not.
But not this year.
It doesn't sound like it. I mean, it sounds like for sure not this year. The
Yeah.
league would like to thank Nathan Outteridge and all the athletes and staff involved in the team for their outstanding performance in the first 2 seasons of SailGP and wish them all the very best for the future. Season 3 will continue with 9 teams racing for the remainder of the season, so it doesn't sound like there's that boat, which supposedly was under construction, may have been hampered by supply chain problems and who knows what else. But the curtain has closed on officially now on the Japanese SailGP team. That's sad to hear. And there was a nice article in this new newsletter called SGP Insider. And it's you can subscribe to it and you can get it for free for a little bit. But our friend Justin Chisholm is putting this out. He's also putting an America's Cup newsletter out. Cash-strapped Japan SailGP team was his headline today. Excluded from season 3. Despite consistent success on the water, the Japanese outfit is out of the Global High Performance League, presumably, well, it's not presumably, but after failing to achieve commercial viability. And he had some nice photos and some nice thoughts in that newsletter with the Australian double Olympic medalist Outteridge on the helm and legendary British wing trimmer Chris Draper backing him up. The Japanese outfit, I can't talk today, Julia. Outfit finished second in the first 2 seasons of SailGP, and they're always in the hunt. One of the few teams to be able to consistently challenge Tom Slingsby's all-conquering Australian crew, the Japan outfit looked set for another successful year as SailGP began its 3rd season. But wait, there's more. With Team Japan's wing, and I'm excerpting from a much longer and really quite a nice article, with Team Japan's wing trimmer Chris Draper and coach Joe Glanfield already well ensconced with Phil Robertson's Canada SailGP team, cheekily nicknamed Japanada by Outteridge.
Yeah.
It seems there's little chance of a way back for the Japanese syndicate, at least not anytime soon, Julia, as you said.
Yeah.
So whether this announcement means the end of Outteridge's involvement with SailGP remains to be seen. For sure, losing a talent like his, the circuit will be a blow to SailGP on a personal level. A fierce competitor, a hell of a good television commentator, like Outteridge will doubtless be gutted to be sidelined from a competition that he helped create and clearly enjoyed competing in. That, again, from Justin Chisholm's SGP, SailGP Insider newsletter today that came out. Now, I turned the page because there's some news about Slingsby, too. And, of course, Tom now has joined the New York Yacht Club's American Magic campaign. But look, he's become a minor, if not major, celebrity in the tabloids in Australia. Speaking of Australia, check this out. News.com.au, Aussie Olympic champion Tom Slingsby's blossoming romance with Bachelor, the TV star.
Aha.
Aussie Olympic gold medalist Tom Slingsby is dominating a revolutionary competition, and his personal life is going just as well, Julia.
Wow, I missed that.
Our sport's clearly coming of age if we get into the tabloids.
Yes.
Australian Olympic gold medalist Tom Slingsby is dominating the sporting world while enjoying this blossoming romance. Slingsby, who claimed gold in sailing's laser class at London 2012, is at the helm of Team Australia in the SailGP competition, which is currently in its 3rd season. He has won the America's Cup in 2013 aboard Team Oracle USA and won the 2016 Sydney Hobart as skipper of Perpetual Loyal, to say nothing, as I said, of having been picked up now by New York Yacht Club's American Magic. Now we get to the juicy bit. Here's this very attractive squeeze in every sense of the word. And life is going swimmingly off the water for Slingsby, who was in a relationship with Helena Saucier. She is saucy. Helena Saucier, who appeared on Matt Agnew's season in Australia of The Bachelor. They began dating in 2020, and their relationship appears to have gone from strength to strength since then. The couple regularly appear on each other's social media. Imagine that. And Saucier, we make it French, has joined Slingsby on his globetrotting endeavors, competing at SailGP's races around the world. But wait, there's more. More. Everything's good for me at the moment, Slingsby recently said in the SailGP documentary available to stream on KO Sports. Quote, career's going well, I'm sailing well, personal life is great, got a great girlfriend. Now, Julia, now our sport's finally making
Oh, yeah. If we make the tabloids, we really had
We really.
Yeah.
And tell us in Australia. Okay, keep it clean, Stingray, or you're going to get Julia shake your finger at Stingray. He's not correct. Gossip Illustrated, Ted Ryman is saying.
Not yet.
Matthias Collins, please don't marry our last chance to get back the Matthias. Nice dock chair. Yeah, it is a nice dock. Tom S. is having a relationship with a bachelor, Gordon Smith. Is this a warning to all other SailGP teams if they don't have a sponsor or fund? Yeah, I think back on the Team Japan thing, I think you're right, Peter. Peter Stevenson, Peter Foiling, sailor. Nice news for Tommy Slingsby. I still think one of, well, he is one of clearly, but maybe the best sailor in the world today. And obviously going from, as they said, that
From good to great, yeah.
From strength to strength. He's got a squeeze.
He's allowed to have a squeeze.
He is. He's 37, I think. It's about time. Okay. Let's get to the America's Cup before we get to our featured segment today. The America's Cup and our $20 million man, Grant Dalton, holding on tight. This is an update on their attempted speed record, land speed record. There's water. Imagine this. There's water in the lake, on the dry lake bed in Australia where they want to do this, and they can't
Really?
run. Yeah, it is. Here, have a look at the video.
Oh, because they're having all those floods now.
To have a catch up as a group on the land speed project.
Normally, Lake Edna, the whole year is perfectly dry. There's no water in the lake. It's very, very abnormal for it to have water in the lake at all. As you've probably seen that photo that I sent through, we're down to about sort of 50 to 70 millimetres now out in the middle of the lake. So Clouds was optimistic. We should see 100 millimetres of evaporation in the next 4 weeks. So we may not actually end up being too far behind where we originally set our goals, Sean. So I think, we've got to keep sort of marching ahead.
So you don't think we need to consider a plan B or a different venue or anything like that at this stage?
I think we would talk about that, Shu. If we got to November, for example, and hadn't been able to run or hadn't broken the record, for example, then we would possibly look at the future options. But I think up until that point, Lake Edna is still by far the best option for us.
Sounds like plan B might be more a timing thing as opposed to a venue change.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, right.
Really around September and October is actually the windiest part of the year in that area. We just need to make sure we're ready to roll, when the lake does dry out, basically, so we're, straight into it.
Nice. Okay, mate.
Okay. You guys. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. We're in the starting blocks, but right now there's a delay, and all we can do is be prepared. And the 2 or 3 weeks we had here in Auckland testing at Whenuapai were huge, because when we start sailing in Australia, we'll be able to push go very quickly. Clearly, the weather has been the main factor here, but we also need the weather to play its part once we get there, because sweet spot's plus 25 knots. These fronts can come through and we might only get 1 or 2 hours, and we might only get half an hour where we've actually got the ultimate conditions to actually really have a crack at this record.
So they're on hold in Oz, waiting for the lake to go away, the dry lake bed to return. And we'll keep a lot of comments about the drought in West Texas. J. Frederick Bland is saying, Ed Worley, the delay is going to cost dollars. Yeah, well, it's going to be a distraction too. if they get delayed too long. But a lot of people are interested in this, including me. I'd love to see if they can pull it off, Julia.
Yes.
It'd be interesting to watch, and so far their videos have been interesting, and they are. Ted Ryman says they need to put foils on it. Okay. A little bit more America's Cup news, and then we'll get to our featured segment. This photo today in Tip and Shaft, that really good newsletter that comes out Fridays from France about mostly offshore racing, mostly with a French kind of an orientation or flavor, shall I say. But they're talking again about K Challenge, who is the ostensible French challenger for the America's Cup, not yet declared, but everyone expects them to, including us. The GC32 World Championship, the third leg of the GC32 Racing Tour season. Remember, we told you about that the other day, apropos of Lingy, who won. They had two boats in it, and they won the last regatta. And they are racing again in Lagos in the south of Portugal. And it kicked off on yesterday, on Thursday. And on the national day yesterday in France, on Bastille Day, K Challenge, led by Quentin Delapierre, opened brilliantly by taking the provisional first race ahead of Lingy Red Bull Racing, which was helmed on the occasion by Maxime Chatelain. End of the regatta is on Sunday, as we said, in the south of Portugal. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. And we are expecting K Challenge to declare by the end of this month. That's the cutoff, and I think they can pay more money and still challenge after the end of this month. But why would you? I mean, time has already run out for them for all intents and purposes, and we'll see if they do, in fact, toss their proverbial hat in the ring. Okay, let's go to the GovCup segment, episode 9 of Road to the GovCup. Another amazing kid Andy and I interviewed the other day, Marcello Torre, who sounds like he's from Italy. He's really from Perth in Western Australia. And he was in London when we interviewed him. I don't know, we've done a number of these now. Road to the Governor's Cup 2022. Enjoy. Oh, before we enjoy, I got to tell you that I've got a couple more slides. We've now done 2, 4, 6, 8 of these. This is the 9th, and we've got all the remaining 3 in the can, so to speak. They've all been recorded today. Again, Marcello Torre, who was in London when we taped him earlier this week. Welcome to the 2022 Road to the Governor's Cup, the 55th edition of the prestigious International Youth Match Racing Championship, held annually by Balboa Yacht Club down in Newport Beach, California, which is where GovCup guru Andy Rose is standing by with our guest who's live from London, Marcello Torre. Andy, take it away.
Well, Tom, thank you. This is the 9th of our series here, which will take all 12 skippers, and it's been great fun. Marcello, we haven't met, but you'll be seeing a lot of both Tom and I here in the next a couple of weeks from now. But as I said when we were talking before we went on air, I have great fondness for WI, and I sailed on Australia 1 as tactician, and you're also representing the Royal Freshwater Bay Yacht Club, which is one of my favorite clubs in the whole world. So welcome, Marcello.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, good to be here.
What do you're in Europe now, though. A lot of Australians seem to have escaped. Let's talk first about escaping. We unfortunately had to cancel the 2020 Governor's Cup because of COVID, and 2021, most of the Europeans, well, I guess they would say all of the European teams were able to come, except for the UK, which I guess is no longer part of Europe or whatever they think they are. But the Brits couldn't come, and neither could the Australians with the Kiwis. And so as a result, most of you have just sailed against people in your own country. But WA is even more, if there was one isolated area, it's Western Australia. You guys, I understand, weren't allowed really to even go to other states and that kind of thing. So tell us about what you've been, you've kept up and you've raced a lot of stuff. You have podium finish and pretty much everything that there was to sail in, but not a lot of, only the Sydney-siders got to go to, I think, 2 international regattas in New Zealand, but only late spring, our spring, which is, like in April and May. So how do you think, it's impossible to know how you match up, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we were really fortunate that we had all the local clubs and everything put together this WA tour for us. So each year we had this series of regattas, 4 or 5 regattas, where we had the opportunity to race against each other and train, and that really kept us in touch. And then, we were sailing and training and doing odd bits and pieces throughout the year. But it was hard. I mean, we were competing against the same people for 2-3 years in a row. So, I'm excited to finally be out and race internationally again. And
well, if there was one place that you had to sort of be isolated, WA isn't a bad place. The weather and the people are great, but also with WA and the Royal Freshie, there's something in the water because it seems to produce some tremendous match racers with the whole Gilmore family. And we've had Sam won this twice. We've had Lockie. Peter never sailed in the GovCup, but and then you have a great coach, one of our favorites, Will Bolden. So we're looking forward to having Will rejoin us here. He made quite a swath at the Governor's Cup. He didn't win, but as you've noticed, he's not without personality. Okay, well, Tom, let's go to the slides. This is sort of a Marcello. This is sort of there was an old TV show here, I think in most countries, English speaking, called "This Is Your Life," where they surprise you and give you all these old pictures, and you have to comment on them. So, Marcello, this is your sailing life. Here we go.
Starting in, I believe, the Optimist class. You're what, in the white shirt on the right? Where was this?
Yeah, that was in Brisbane, actually, in Queensland. That was a youth state sail that I did when I was 15, I think, 15, 16. No, sorry, way younger, 14.
I was going to say, you look way younger than that.
Yeah. But that was a fun regatta. That was one of my first times kind of getting out of WA in the Opti and racing against all the guys from over East. And it was good fun.
Marcello, how old are you now?
20.
20. So you've got a couple more years after this in GovCup.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Okay, here's the
record. We have a record number of 19 and 20-year-olds, I think, Tom. So but for 3 sailors, actually 9 of the 12 have at least one more year, and most have 2. Some have 3, and as Morgan Pinkney pointed out, he has 6.
Well, that's very cool. Let's move forward to this event.
Yeah, so this is Sail Melbourne. I was also sailing in the Opti, about the same age by the looks of it. Again, it was same sort of gig. I was first done so much sailing in WA, and then got the opportunity to go over East, and I was at a stage where I could be competitive over East in the Opti. So it was a really steep learning curve, I think, from that transition from just local to nationwide regattas. So
let me ask a question there. Does your family sail?
No, they don't. It's just myself and my brother. Yeah,
that was the same in my family. It's interesting. But they just entered you in the Royal Freshie youth program or something, or?
I think we both just started doing it. It was a bit through school, but Raf, my younger brother, actually started a few years before me at Freshie, and then I joined. I think I was 12, we both just fell in love with it and kept going and went from there.
And how old Raf is sailing with you in the Governor's Cup? How old is he?
Raf is 19.
Yeah. 19, so 1 year apart. Well, as I've said before, with the brother acts, this is how does that work out? We have a number of them this year, and we've had some in the past. I've told the story before that we had a couple twins years and years ago, and they were incredibly fun to watch because they were always, at each other, basically in a nice way. But how do you guys get along?
Yeah,
on the boat. I don't care about normally on the boat.
Off the boat we're great. On the boat, we're going to wait and see. It has been rocky in the past. Hopefully, it'll be better this time. I think we've both done a bit of growing up, so should be good.
I think we got a picture of Raf here in a second. We'll move forward to this, which is a 420 regatta, is it not?
Yeah, it's a 420 regatta. That's the States we've done. That was at Royal Freshwater Bay Yacht Club in 2017 from memory. I think we won that, which we're pretty happy with.
Same era?
Yeah, maybe a few months prior, over in Adelaide, I think. Yeah.
You won, according to this, you got second in the Open 420 championships. in Australia in the I-420. And then tell me about, we had another Aussie with the, you won the Collegiate Cup Australian Championships. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So we call it teams racing over here. So that was kind of my road into match racing as well. Through school, we just did a 3v3 teams racing. We went to Melbourne. I think we got second at that nationals in 2018. Really good regatta. That was kind of where I fell in love with match racing, all the tactical side of sailing. Really fun memories from that part of my sailing.
Well, we have a number of team racers skippers this year in various colleges and high schools, and it seems to be a good. There are a lot of similarities. There are a lot of differences too, but some of the tactical moves, in a team race when you're trying to go after one particular boat are really, pretty much match race tactics. So that's good. All right, Tom, keep going here.
So this is in the Swan River in Etchells. Is this fleet or match racing or?
Yeah, so this was fleet racing, and it was kind of an introduction into Etchells. So I think we had this boat where, we had 3 young guys on it, and then a couple more boats with youth sailors on it. That was a fun day. Yeah.
Well, the guy in the hat next to you, you're driving, of course. The guy next to you, I've seen him on the internet crewing for you, in the 420 and a number of other events.
Yeah, it's Owen. So he started sailing, crewing for me in the 420 maybe a year after I started sailing 420s, and I was with him for my whole 420 career. But
you told us that he's not coming to GovCup, but your brother is the forward hand in this boat?
Yeah, correct.
That's Raff, R-A-F-F.
Yeah.
A couple of years younger. Cool. Okay, and then finally, we've got this shot from, I think, earlier this year.
Yeah, looks like it. Perth Cup. So that's the final regatta in that WA tour that we do kind of at the beginning of, or end of January, the beginning of each year. So that's kind of the biggest one. We do that in the Founders. All those regattas kind of lead up to this, or to that regatta. So,
we should, mention for those, Tom gets happily an international audience here, and including, obviously a lot of Americans. For those of you who have not been to WA, they have a kind of a wonderful thing. The Swan River, shall we say, broadens out. If you go there and don't know it's a river, you'd think it was just a very large bay, but it's really a terrific place to sail. And then they have a lot of races out in the ocean off Fremantle, but especially this kind of sailing is done very near downtown Perth and the club and Royal Freshie and Royal Perth, and it's a spectacular place to sail, which is maybe why WA has produced so many great match racers. But it's I miss it. Great place.
Yeah, I mean, we our first match racing. I got into match racing at Freshie. They were doing this kind of a winter series thing where we'd go down each weekend and get introduced to it, and we had Sam Gilmore and Lockie coaching it for a bit, and all those guys, really great culture at Royal Freshwater Bay Yacht Club, and that's kind of how I was brought into it, and from there just kept on growing and growing, and we had more youth sailors kind of come into it. Really good.
Well, my favorite part of the Royal Freshie is not only the bar and the camaraderie, but is it a Wednesday night series? I forget. It's sort of a we call it Twilight series.
Yeah.
That is almost as good as our beer can series here, which is Thursday nights, and you'll see that in action. I have a 50-footer, and we invite some of the crews, if you're not too tired from sailing, which you generally are, but those that are especially hardy come with us and on a couple other boats. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, awesome.
But it's certainly not the inside sailing area that the Swan River is. For the racing here, we'll be out in the Pacific, and you've sailed in a lot of different areas, so I don't think it'll be a big surprise to you. But short chop is a thing out here in the ocean, and it last year it blew about 18 knots almost every day, and that's, I hate to say it, but that is not typical Newport Beach conditions. So we can hope for that, but you're likely to get, especially in the morning races, you're likely to get a 5 knots, 6 knots of breeze. Happily, these boats were built for Newport Beach, and they sail well. You can have a real race in 5 knots of breeze, really fair race. But they're pretty exciting. In 18, they plane, and surf, obviously, and so Tom and I do the commentary, and it's a little tough to do detailed commentary on a downwind leg that only takes 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think I'll enjoy the boats. Last question. Have you sailed in the, J80s or Elliots or boats similar to what these Governor's Cup 22s are?
No, not yet. I haven't done any Elliott sailing. Not yet. We do have kind of similar boats back home, the BW8s, so we've done a lot of training in them in the lead up to this regatta, but I think these boats are a little bit smaller, so it'll be a bit of a learning curve when we get there.
Yeah, well, the good news is you have we don't give you much time, but you'll have Monday afternoon to go out and sail the boats, and there's plenty of time to get out in the ocean and sail them for 2 or 3 hours before the Monday night dinner. And then, as I've said to a lot of, we have also sort of a record number of skippers that have not sailed in the Governor's Cup before this year. Although we have national champions and world champions and all that in various classes in match racing. But with 22, with the double round robin, it really is, your learning curve is really steep. Yeah. And, we've had people qualify for the semifinals, losing 4 races or something on the first day, and so it just takes a little bit, but I think you'll find they're very dinghy-like. They're not, they don't weigh much, and they have a lot of sail area. So, I think you'll like them, and I think you'll get, you'll figure out how to sail them, pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And you're sailing 3 up, so 3 of you.
This one, yeah.
And how close to the weight limit are you?
I think we're about 20 kilos off.
Okay, that's probably good. We should someday do a study of all the weights that various people are sailing and how they did. But one easy one was the first year these boats were used in 2016 when they were new. The first and 12th place competitors were 4 up. Everybody else was 3. So it doesn't seem to matter. The weight limit really seems to do it. And, some people sail with 3 and most sail with 3, but we have some 4 ups this year too. So yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. Final thing, Tom, do you want to tell him quickly about the Monday night dinner? And
well, that you've seen the video, you've heard from Will Bolden and others about Andy hosting this roast on Monday nights. It's really a meet the teams introduction to all the teams. We stream that live as well, 10 shows that we do during GovCup week, but you'll really enjoy that, Marcello, but you want to be prepared perhaps with a joke or 2 about Andy. And it can never hurt to talk about him being the losing tactician for Australia against Ted Turner and Gary Jobson, although he won all the starts in 1977.
Okay.
Well, Marcello, also just be warned, because Sam Gilmore, I'm sure, has been very helpful in your match racing career, but in 2016, that was his second GovCup, and he thought he had me. We had an alumni regatta, and he gets up there and he says, well, Andy, why didn't you sail in the alumni regatta? And it just came to me. I said, Sam, I'm a tactician. Any monkey can steer.
Yeah.
So he tried, but failed.
He tried, but that didn't quite work out. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Thanks for coming on from London, Marcello. Enjoy the rest of your time in Europe. And Andrew, as usual, we've got 3 more of these to do, 10, 11, and 12. We got 12 sailors this year. And thank you very much indeed. And Andy and Marcello, we'll see you both in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Tom.
Ciao.
Perfect. See ya.
Nice kids. Bright kids. Different hair. They each have a little different hair.
I know they do.
You were commenting. Ed Worley asking, does BYC provide a primer and or coaching? Yeah, there's a lot of help on shore, and especially from there's a group called the Bosons, led by Father Greg Newman, and some other and he's a superb sailor, and others. And they any questions the kids have, and they give them a little coaching. But Will Bolden, who sailed in the GovCup, is coming with Marcello Torre as his ostensible coach. And Will he's from WA, and he watches this show a lot at, well, God knows what hour of the day, because it's like 0300 when we go live. You must watch it in replay. Will Bolden, terrific guy. So that's Marcello Torre. And then Tuesday, we'll have Porter Cavley from Annapolis. We recorded him, caught up with him in Boston a couple days ago, and he's another very bright, interesting kid he's hardly a kid. He's a college graduate now and doing great things in the business world. and also the offshore world and the 12-meter world. Our TV schedule starting a week from Monday, so it's the week after next, 25th through the 30th, down at Balboa Yacht Club. We're live Monday night with the aforementioned Meet the Teams, the gentle roast that Andy does with each of the teams and their crews. They're all up on the stage in front of 250, 300 people. It's a big dinner followed by this roast, and it's live. You've seen it, Julie. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. And then we have a pre-race morning show Wednesday through Saturday at 0900 that I host and switch and carry on with. And we have guests, and we have the race officer and the jury, the umpires doing, it's live. It's kind of cool because we feature the umpires, the race officer, the kids, and they're asking questions back and forth. And then Andy interviews a couple of the kids. Friday, we have live racing for the semifinals and the semifinals primarily on Friday. That starts at 11:30 a.m. Pacific, and then we'll go live with the press conference when we get back to shore that evening, 6:45-ish. And then Saturday, the finals at 11:30 again, Pacific Daylight Time. And 4:30, we do the press conference and the awards. Live, 10 shows that week. So we're getting ready for that as we speak. Balboa Yacht Club, 25th through the 30th, the 55th Annual Governor's Cup, the prestigious International Youth Match Racing Championship, the oldest such event in the world. Tuesday, we will do our show, TE Live, on Tuesday, but not on Friday of that week because I will be on the water doing commentary with Mr. Rose, or Rose as we call it. The Australians started it. This show's kind of sailing Australia today.
Yeah, it is.
It's all about Australia, Julia.
That's all right.
Not this day in history, though. What happened on this day in history? In 1799. Any idea?
1799.
Here's your first clue.
The Rosetta Stone.
Well done. You knew. Well done. Well, you went to Stanford. One would expect that. That is called a stele, or occasionally a stela.
Stella.
No, stela is, I looked. Yeah, not a stella. A stele or a stela, which is the Latin plural.
Yeah.
When derived from Latin, is a stone or wooden slab generally taller than it is wide, erected in the ancient world as a monument. The surface of the stele often has text, ornamentation, or both. These may be inscribed, carved in relief, or painted here on Sailing Illustrated Ancient History.
Mm-hmm.
That is the Rosetta Stone. Do you know where that is on display? I've seen it there.
Somewhere in Egypt.
Nope.
No.
I've not been to Egypt. Leslie has been. Meg has been.
I've been.
That's in the British Museum. On display at the British Museum, London, the Rosetta Stone, which, as you probably all know, is a stele. That was a new word for me, composed of granodiorite. Granodiorite, I had to look that up. Pronunciation, granodiorite. Inscribed with 3 versions of a decree issued in Memphis, Egypt in 196 BC.
Wow.
During the Ptolemaic, I looked that up, Ptolemaic dynasty on behalf of King Ptolemy V. Epiphanes. The top and middle texts are in ancient Egyptian using hieroglyphics and demotic scripts.
I'm proud
respectively.
of you. Yeah.
While the bottom is in ancient Greek. The decree has only minor differences between the 3 versions, making the Rosetta Stone key to deciphering the Egyptian scripts because they knew the bottom ones.
Yeah.
And then they could see the hieroglyphics and said, oh, it all means the same thing. What a brilliant thing somebody did.
Yes.
To help understand all 3 languages before Christ.
When they didn't date at 196 BC.
Well, exactly. Of course not. But yeah, how cool is that? And of course, there's the companies today that are Rosetta, which is the big language instruction company that the State Department and other people use. And we are using on Apple computers, they have a software called Rosetta, Rosetta 2, which converts stuff from non-Apple language, especially the M1 Max, so Rosetta Stone. I just thought that was pretty cool.
Yes.
So on this day in history, 1799, fairly recently, the Rosetta Stone was discovered in the Egyptian village of Rosetta, Rashid, I think it was originally called, by French Captain Pierre-Francois Bouchard during Napoleon's Egyptian campaign. On this day in history, 15th of July, fairly recently, 1799, which is 52 BAC. Remember that from the other day?
Before the America's Cup?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before 1851. You have to think in terms of the America's Cup, at least I do, because I'm a crouton on America's
Obsessed,
Cup.
obsessed.
Fanboy. Okay, bravo Zulu. We love youth sailing, and we love to see all these countries that participate in the World Youth Championships that World Sailing puts on. I had the pleasure of being on the jury, chairing the jury a few times, watching Russell Coots and some of the kids of that era come to the fore. And this group of kids looks to be as good or better. John mentioned them. John Emmett mentioned them in the warm-up. And he says by going back and looking at who does well in the youth worlds now, predicts maybe not the 2024 Olympics, but probably a number of the Olympians 2028 and beyond. So I'm going to put some more attention to this than usual. In Den Haag, in The Hague, in the Denmark. It's not in Denmark. My graphics department screwed that up. You know who that is?
Yes.
I'd
speak with him.
I would. You should speak with him too, as you're doing right now.
I know.
The graphics department in the Netherlands, NED, not DEN, in Den Haag. This is the video released yesterday.
It's a very special race, and you can learn a lot from him, especially from this place and the conditions. The fleet is very competitive. We have a lot of different riders, different sailors coming from different countries, and everybody coming with their own way to sail, and it's very beautiful to see all the types of sailing we got here. The week was pretty good. We had pretty good conditions. We had some good days, we had some bad days, but I think we are doing fine. And now we have a little bit of points behind us. So we will try to keep it close and do it as simple as possible.
I think it's one of the most important regatta because it's very special and there are the best people of every country.
One of our goals this year was to be qualified for this regatta, and we are so excited to be here because everyone is so good and the level is so high.
We are very tight, the girls, they are very good, and I think the most important is to do a great start because they are very faster and we have to run the first.
Well, it would be an incredible experience for us because we've been training a lot this year. So that would mean that we did a good job.
Ireland is such a small team. We only have 3 boats, and for the Ilka 6 boy and myself both getting the gold medal, it's absolutely phenomenal, and I'm so proud of the team, and we've been coached by an amazing coach, Vasilis. You know, it's so proud to be able to come off the water knowing that Ireland has got 2 gold medals.
I'm very excited. I can't believe it, really. It's like huge. I don't know how this happened.
I can't realize that we have just won. It's amazing. I don't know. We took every day as if it was the first. So it starts over and over again, and we do our best every day and every race, and everything came
out good. Yes.
Representing Argentina, Amparo Tupenengo de Favor and Julia Plantin. Representing Great Britain, it's Charlie Dixon.
Yeah, Ed Worley, you're right. That, I think, is a terrific video. It's a great event. And remind me, Julie, at the end of this show, I'm doing a little segment about a boat club in Texas, apropos the World Youth Sailing Championships that have just concluded in the beach, the city, Den Haag, in the Netherlands, not Denmark, even though Gordon Smith said, yeah, but Denmark is brilliant. So I would just leave the text as it is. Great vid, Ted Ryman agrees. Happy kids, Alistair Murray saying sailing at its best. Yeah, it's a fabulous regatta. If your country, your club gets to host this, and they do sometimes struggle for hosts, But if you get the chance to do it, by all means, take it up, because it rewards your youth sailing in the whole country, but certainly in the area, to get to see these kids. And remember, it's only one per country in these classes.
Yeah.
Whereas you go to the World Championship of the Europeans or of one of these classes, and you got a bunch of people from different countries. So it's really pretty special, pretty Olympic-like.
Yes.
Which is why I'm going to take you through the winners. This is in the ladies 420, the women's 420 gold. I'm not going to try to pronounce their names because I'll mess them up. But the Spanish team won the gold, the German team won the silver, and the Italian team won the bronze in the women's 420. Now, interestingly, the men's division is men or mixed. So you can sail with a female crew, as did Freddie Parkin from the U.S. with Asher Beck. And he took the gold. His brother, Jack Parkin, who is a famously good sailor here, has been in the GovCup and collegiate sailing and so on, sails with us a bit on It's Okay. Won it some years ago, 7 years ago, the same 420 gold at the World Youths. Silver, the Israeli team, and bronze, the Croatian team. Bravo Zulu to them. You saw them in the video. This is the ladies in the Ilka. The Irish lady and the Australian was silver, and Netherlands, sailing in her home waters, Roos Wind, what a great name.
Mm-hmm.
And they were the top three. Now, they didn't send a picture of the male in the Ilka, so I just have this group shot, but gold was the Irish again. They double golded.
Yeah, that was a great win for Ireland.
Well, and Argentina also has a double win here. We'll tell you about in a sec. Silver from Bermuda. So that's Sebastian Kempa, the famous Kemp family in Bermuda. Good sailor. I mean, everybody, half the people in Bermuda are named Kemp, I think. All a big clan. A lot of them are good sailors. Bronze from Germany. I want Schweckendijk from Germany. What a great name that is, too. That's in the men's in the laser. Then in the mixed doubles, which of course is the NACRA 17. Is it the 17? But gold was the Swiss team, silver from España, and the bronze was won by the French in the catamaran. This is the 49er FX, the ladies division, gold to Argentina, silver to France, and bronze to Japan in the 49er FX, the skiff. And then likewise in the 49er, the men's division, gold also went to Argentina. So they must have a pretty good program there and a pretty good coach. Silver to the Brits and the bronze to the Kiwis. So that was interesting. Mm-hmm. Nicely done. Now this is the IQ foil. This is the new windsurfer class that will be used in Marseille in 2024. Is the Israeli lady was first, Turkey second, and Slovenia, or is that Slovakia? I think that's Slovenia, was third. Tell me if I'm wrong, John Emmett. You'll know those codes. And then here's the men's in the foiling windsurfer, the IQ foil. Gold was the Brit Charlie Dixon, silver the Netherlands, the Dutch lady or Dutch gentleman, and bronze from Spain. So you can see Spain had quite a good regatta. And then finally in the kites, the winner was the Pole. This is the ladies' kites, the Polish lady, and then silver France, bronze Turkey. And in the men's, they didn't provide a picture, but here they are racing off the beach there in Den Haag at the Youth Sailing World Championships. Gold to Singapore, silver to Italia, and bronze to Poland. So Poland won a couple medals. You can see quite a number of countries won medals, quite a broad
Absolutely. You had a great combination.
And the Nations Trophy, as they call it, which goes to the country that has the best overall cumulative scores, won again by Spain. I say again, they seem to win it quite often. Out of the 67 participating nations, the combined performance of the team sailors means Spain has emerged on top to win the Nations Trophy. Blue skies, they talk about the weather, of course. Strong currents and predominantly light winds make it tactically tricky, yada, yada. There were double victories in some disciplines, with male and female gold going to Ireland in the Ilka, 6 dinghies, male and female gold for Argentina in the 29ers. So bravo Zulu to them, bravo Zulu to Spain, and what a terrific event.
Mm-hmm.
So, and as I say, I'll tell you a little story about that, about hosting that regatta here in the U.S. Maybe the last time we hosted it here, way back when. Okay, quick check in here at the SSL Gold Cup. They're down to the last two of these elimination rounds. And yesterday was day one, day two, today, which this is current as of today. There are 2 more days, Saturday and Sunday, after today. And the Ukrainians and South Africans, I thought Ted Ryman would be particularly interested to know that the South Africans are doing well in groups 7 and 8. And Ukraine leads, tied with Thailand in their group. I think this is 7, maybe it's 8, but whatever group, Ukraine, Thailand, Singapore, and South Korea. Looks like South Korea's out of it. Singapore might, however, have a chance in the next 2 days to get back into because only 2 teams move forward. And this was supposed to be 4 teams. China, for some reason, did not show. They were the other team in this, what's supposed to be 4-team elimination. And South Africa, Ted Ryman, your home country, doing very well against Malaysia. And India not so well. So that's what's going on in Switzerland at SailGP, and we'll follow that and catch you up on it on Tuesday's show. A quick, remember when I did this on Tuesday about the bogus article in one of the Detroit papers, Detroit television station?
Yeah.
We have an equally bogus article that appeared here on San Francisco's CBS television. There's their website. You see that big, beautiful Coast Guard boat?
Yes.
Well, beautiful, except for the little bit of, they haven't cleaned the ass end of the boat. Oh, excuse me, did I say that? They haven't cleaned the back end there of the vent. They need to do that. But this was the story that ran on CBS San Francisco and on their website. Windsurfer rescued from San Francisco Bay near Crissy Field, which is right next door to St. Francis Yacht Club. The rescue operation at Crissy Field was first reported for blah, blah, blah. The fire department said that 1 adult was rescued. And, of course, we see this, don't we, a lot when there's
a lot, yeah.
There's a lot of wind and they lose control. And if it's a strong flood tide, they end up over in the East Bay, end up over at Berkeley and Alameda.
Or under the bridge.
And worse than that, if there's a strong ebb tide, which is when they go get people, these people are flailing around and they're getting swept out at 2, 3, sometimes 4 knots out the Golden Gate Bridge. And the Coast Guard does yeoman's work, and they really are terrific. Now, there's only one problem with this, and it is Croutonic, and that is that boat is based in, do you recognize the area behind it? A lot of you on here will. That is Newport Beach. And I know this boat because I sail down there a lot, and the Narwhal is this Coast Guard boat. I think I spelled it. Is it W-A-H-L? Oh, graphics department may have screwed that one up too.
Yeah.
But it's down there, and just to the left of that shot, over in here, you can just start to see the esteemed Balboa Yacht Club. So
it is.
Yeah, and I said, what the hell? Why are they using this shot in the paper?
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, it's Croutonic. And, you have to wonder why. Yeah, huzzah, the U.S. Coast Guard, Jonathan Frank is saying exactly. But if papers and websites can't get it more accurate than that, okay, I did DEN but instead of NED, but I caught it at least when we're going through the show. But how do they make such terrible mistakes? As interns who are lazy or don't know what they're doing. And if you can't trust them for something this simple, how do you trust them for something that's serious news, Julia, like the economy or politics? Or,
I don't trust anybody.
You don't? Not even me?
Of course
I'm hurt.
Of course I do.
I'm hurt.
Because I know you do your own research.
Well, we do extensively, which gets us, speaking of research, to the D block.
Yes.
And thanks to our Fozy, your favorite segment, Julia, I know. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. What the fudge? And this came from Pamela. Forget about organic food. At your age, you need all the preservatives you can get.
Ooh, that's close to home.
It is a little close to home. So maybe we're eating the wrong stuff, Julia, by trying to be so organic. That's thanks to Pamela Bowman, who sent that one in. I don't know if she was sending that to you or to me or to both of us.
Maybe both.
But I like the green wall in the background. I figured that's, if we're going to wear green scarves and dresses and shirts today, unbeknownst that we were. My mother sent this in. She said, I wonder what my kids are going to tell their kids. It was so rough back in my day, I didn't get a phone till 4th grade. And sometimes the Wi-Fi didn't always work upstairs.
Yes.
That is sad but true. That's, first world problems. Thanks to my beloved mother, Janice Davis, for that one. And finally, one of our best Aussie contributors sent this in. I grew up with Steve Jobs, Johnny Cash, and Bob Hope. Now there's no jobs, no cash, and no hope. Please don't let anything happen to. God forbid that we can't eat bacon.
I know.
Huh?
Yes.
Not too much of it. But you got to have some Kevin Bacon in your life, right?
Right.
Okay, that pretty well wraps it up, except I do have one little story here at the finish line. We had a letter to the editor, Julie, that was really a nice letter. Letter? There's a new word.
Yeah.
A letter to the editor, really, from this gentleman whom I don't remember having met. I don't believe I have, but he watches the show, doesn't often comment. In fact, I'm not sure he's ever commented. He's in Wichita Falls, Texas.
Great picture.
And it is a great photo, and I took it off his Facebook page. He knows I'm running his comment, but he doesn't know I'm running this whole segment. Want to thank you and Julia for what you do. I'm from a small club in Wichita Falls, which is kind of northwest of Dallas-Fort Worth. We started in 1935 with a fleet of 8 snipes. The oldest survivor is being restored by private individuals. People don't realize that Texas is a large sailing community. I know J. Frederick Bland and they will all appreciate. Jonathan Frank will appreciate this, and Barbara, with lots of inland yacht clubs, not just the coast. I'm down to small boats now, laser sunfish flying Scots and Hobie 16s. I'm 78 now, but just can't give it up. So bravo Zulu to him, and thanks Bob very much. And I just me and going off on tangents, I couldn't help but do a little bit of
finding where Wichita is.
Well, I knew where it was in general, but I didn't realize it was this close to Dallas-Fort Worth, for example. Look at all the lakes in that Google map.
Yes.
And we talk about that on this show all the time about, there's coastal sailing here in San Francisco and down SoCal and Newport, Rhode Island, Annapolis, which is on Chesapeake Bay. But the great bulk of the sailing, I submit,
on little lakes,
is on little lakes like Texas, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota.
Everybody has lakes.
Ohio, Michigan, of course, Ontario in Canada, and the rivers and lakes in the UK, for example. There's a lot of sailing on those lakes, the lakes in Switzerland, and so on and so forth. We all talk about big open water. Look at all those lakes. Some are dammed up, are reservoirs. Some are natural. Some are whatever. So there is my favorite lake outside of my home lake in Michigan, where I grew up, the little pond, the puddle that I grew up on. You know what lake that is, of course.
Yes.
You know what boat club is there?
Yes, Fort Worth Boat Club.
One of the most famous yacht clubs in this country, believe it or not, is on Eagle Mountain Lake, just 25 minutes northwest of downtown Fort Worth. And they're in a that's a picture of their clubhouse, which I believe is being rehabbed right now. I'm proudly a member there, by the way. Have been an honorary. I don't charge me any dues, but they let me call myself a Fort Worth Boat Club member. Established in 1929 on Eagle Mountain Lake. And it's a terrific club with an amazing junior program. Look at all these opties with their own specially colored sails, so they can tell whose opties are theirs. They have ILCA 6s and 7s, plus a bunch of J22s, some J105s, and a surprise. And this is a little lake. Okay, it's a fairly large lake compared to the lake I grew up on. But they have a fairly large PHRF fleet for handicap racing. And you'd be surprised on a lake like that, they do go, it's big boat racing.
It's the only lake that I've ever helmed a boat that won.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Just across the finish line, or did you helm the whole race?
No, the 3/4 of it, the last of it.
Well, good.
All but the first quarter. Yeah.
Were you in the lead when they gave you the wheel?
No.
Oh, so well done. Congratulations.
But it's the only time that ever happened. I was surprised myself.
Well, that's great.
Oh, and as it was Stuart Little was the name of the boat.
Stuart Little. Okay, I know whose boat that was. Now, the other thing, this club is famous. The Fort Worth Boat Club has supported, because, they got some money down there in Texas. And they famously supported Courageous in the 1977 America's Cup. And you can recognize some of these. That's Ted Turner, Gary Jobson, and so on. The late, great O.L. Pitts, who lived to be 100 plus, and was a big Fozy and even a supporter here. And his kids and his grandkids and even his great-grandkids.
R.C. Keefe.
R.C. Keefe in that shot?
On the right, yeah.
Oh, you're right, it is.
And
from St. Francis Yacht Club.
And, oh, gosh.
There's Lee Smith.
Lee Smith, yeah.
Yeah, some famous old.
Yeah.
But they did a great job supporting sailing and still do. The Fort Worth Boat Club, and the story I was going to tell you about the boat club and their famously cool burgee. There's no other burgee that I'm aware of. Hook 'em horns in the world. And in 79 or 80, I was executive director of U.S. Sailing. And it helped if I turned camera 2 on when I turned to it. And then executive, the Secretary General of the IYRU called up, long story short, and said, hey, the Brazilians, they're what is it, the Cruzeiro, whatever their currency is or was, has crashed. They can't host the regatta down in Brazil. Can you host it in this, in your country, in the U.S.?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, when? They said, well, the next 4 weeks, 5 weeks. I said, you got to be kidding me. I don't know where we can do that in the U.S. And then I got the idea to fly down to Fort Worth. I called the Fort Worth boys up and said, because they had plenty of dough and they loved doing this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And in some ways, it's easier to do things on a short runway than trying to, have a long time planning. I flew down there. They put me in the bar, said, here, have a burger. We've got to go in here to this other room. And then they called me into the room. The whole board was assembled there.
Already?
And they said, I said, I'm in trouble now. They said, excuse me, Mr. Ian, we've just voted unanimously to host the event. Everything will be taken care of. I said, but what about the water out in front of the lake? They were in a drought, and there was like 100 feet of dirt between the breakwater and where the lake actually started.
Mm-hmm.
So don't worry, we're going to get AstroTurf from the Dallas Stadium, which was being returfed. And sure enough, when I got back there in 3 or 4 weeks, they turfed the whole dirt in front of the breakwater all the way out to the water, and it was one of the best youth worlds ever. Chris Dixon, Russell Coots. I can't begin to name all the sailors who were there at the Fort Worth Boat Club. Terrific job that they did.
It is a terrific place.
Terrific club. Okay, that's about it for us. Joshua Bone is on. Hi, Josh. The original club boat there was called the Longhorn. The real symbol of Fort Worth is the horned frog. Jonathan Frank, one of the most prestigious maritime academies, is in Galveston, Texas. Go see Aggies. Great story, Alan Long. Peter Taylor. Replying to Ed Worley, a pity that wasn't they did Ed Worley support America too in a big way. Mm-hmm. My mother's saying the Rebel Nationals were there. No, Mom, the Rebel Nationals were over at White Rock Lake, which is there's 2 or 3 Great Lakes over north and east of Dallas. Oh yeah. Isn't there a White Rock? Yes, my mother is right. Yes. Oh, I didn't read her earlier comment. White Rock Lake and Rush Creek and Rush Creek Yacht Club. There, it's just terrific. A great bunch of sailing down there, and it's hot as hell in July and August, and they still sail.
And they believe in having fun too.
They do. You can tell us. We won't now, but you can tell a story about when a group of them called up and said,
"Oh yeah,
if we fly up to St. Francis, could we maybe have dinner at the club?" And you said when? And they said, "Well, we're actually we're in the plane.
We're at the airport now. We're really thinking about coming up now."
They had a private plane to fly up because they wanted to get out of the heat and humidity.
They were there in a couple hours.
I can tell you some more stories about Debbie, the lifeguard, there during the youth.
Oh, we know that.
No. Well, you'd shake your finger at me, wouldn't you?
Well,
you can shake your finger at me for just bringing it up.
Yes, I will.
We'll tell that story
later and in private.
Another time. You're a witness, Julia.
Yes. Like, follow, and share all the good stories and this program. People are always amazed at this program when you introduce it to it, and you keep saying, "Why didn't somebody tell me about this?"
Well, they're amazed because there are a couple of old farts that run it.
I know.
Get through it in one piece. Baton Rouge saying, "Yeah, White Rock has one of the largest." Actually, is it at White Rock or is it at where's Columbia Yacht Club? Has a big Flying Scot fleet down there. I sailed in the Championship of Champions there. Baton Rouge. Thanks everybody. Cheers, hugs to everybody back. We appreciate that. Comments are welcome. We have, a couple hundred comments today, as usual. They're welcome even in replay. So if you're watching this in replay, leave your comments. Just don't be a crouton when you leave something. When you do leave a comment.
Yes.
Nope. I don't need to repeat it. Everybody knows. Patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. Give us a few bucks a month, or just give us a few bucks one time, one shot, and we would be deeply appreciative. Julia?
Sir?
In fact, I just bought a new $2,000 streaming computer.
Thanks, Fosies.
Thanks in part to the Fosies.
Yeah.
And Andy Rose and any number of others.
Yes.
And we're going to further improve our signal, so to speak. It's like our transmitter. It's what puts us on the air. And hopefully we'll have that up and running next Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Julia, final thoughts?
No, I was thinking what fun and how wonderful this group of people are.
We got all the thumbs up and the hearts, but yeah, and it's how wonderful our sport is, especially those kids that have been coming on.
Yes.
And in that video from Den Haag and the video and these various other road to the Governor's Cup, 3 more to go.
And the World's Youth Championship was really
in Den Haag, that video from
that was really good.
Okay, thanks everybody. Hope you have a great weekend wherever in the world you are. And if you can, and if they have a record number of COVID cases in the UK today.
Uh-oh.
Sail fast, sail safe, have fun. Ciao for now.